Hi guys, great to see you all here today. I'm going to talk to you today about what made the Commonwealth Games, which are commonly known as the Friendly Games, the social games in Glasgow. And before I kick off in that, I'm just going to show a little film recap of Glasgow 2014.
You're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart. 'Cause you're a sky full of stars. 'Cause you light up the park. I don't care, go on and tear me apart. I don't care if you do. Cause in the sky full of stars, I think I saw you. You're a sky full of stars. I wanna die in your arms. Cause you get lighter the more it gets dark. I'm gonna give you my heart. I don't care. In a sky full of stars, I think I see you. I think I see you.
It now gives me the greatest pleasure to declare the 20th Commonwealth Games open.
The 25-year-old from England claims the first gold of the 20th Commonwealth Games. The champion in Delhi and the champion in Glasgow as well.
The Games time has just been, it's like it's been sprinkled with stardust. It's been brilliant. It's been electric. There's something around every street corner. Glasgow is one of the best cities in the world.
Bring it on!
I work hard to be here and I'm proud to be a Clydesider.
I'm so glad I signed up for it 2 years ago. It's been an amazing experience. I'm not from Glasgow myself, but I feel part of the Glasgow community now, which I never would have gotten to feel if I hadn't been part of the games.
There are some cities, and I won't mention them, that are famous for dead things. But this is the place for live writing, poetry, rock and roll. It's buzzing, jumping, always will be.
I actually get goose pimples watching that again. I actually finished up with Glasgow 2014 yesterday after 5.5 years with the game, so it's been the end of a very exciting era for me, to say the least. So before I go on to talk in a bit more detail on the social media side of our plans, I'm going to give you a bit of an overview on our digital activation at Games Time. The ambition at Games Time was to provide the most inclusive and compelling online games experience for the audience. This meant that all digital platforms had to be carefully managed and content pre-planned for each day, as well as having that capacity to be reactive. The website, we built that responsively so that it would perform well on any mobile device, from desktop to mobile to tablet. The site delivered up-to-the-minute results information, athlete bios, competition schedules, news, previews, reviews of the sporting day, travel updates, event images, and the festival and culture programme. Advertising placements were also incorporated into the site build, with inventory packages sold to the sponsor family and provided at cost to our charity partners. A range of daily emails were sent to the database, 500,000, with reviews and previews of that day and how people could get involved, and that followed through with a targeted CRM campaign. Glasgow 2014 also made the most of mobile apps to keep people informed at every moment with their personalised My Games app, which shared the latest news, photographs, festival events and transport information at the touch of a button for users. We also had a results app to keep people in the heart of the medalling action. I think we'll all agree that the atmosphere was absolutely electric during the games, and for what has now been commonly referred to as the best games ever. Just to put this into context, I have a few stats to share with you. 71 nations and territories competed over 11 days of sporting competition across 17 sports games. We raised 5 million for UNICEF during the hashtag Put Children First campaign, which took part as part of the opening ceremony, and sold 1.2 million tickets. And we achieved Scotland's record-breaking number of medals, sitting at 53 at any other Commonwealth Games. In terms of the website, 228 countries accessed the site, with over 1 million average visitors a day, 11.5 million unique visitors over the course of the 11 days of competition, 84 million page views, 1.6 billion total mobile requests, 100% site uptime, which, as you can imagine, was a massive relief for the digital team, and 50% of visits which came from mobile or tablet, over 23 million sessions. In terms of email and mobile, over 18 million emails were sent and almost 500,000 apps downloaded. In social media, we had 3.5 million app mentions, 3 lovely royal photobombs, which I'll come on to in a bit, 25.8 million minutes, that's 49 years of time was spent watching the games on YouTube, and over 400 million social media impressions. So that just gives you a sense of the scale of the project that we were delivering. A lot of people thought we had a big team. We actually didn't. There was 7 of us in the digital media team at the Games, and which involved a lot of working around the clock and hard work to ensure that it was recognised as a digital and a social Games. In terms of the main channels that we used, no surprising, Facebook. We used Facebook. The role of Facebook for us was for reach and inclusiveness. Here we created high quality shareable content, and the approach was curation. Posts should have something for everyone to capture excitement and drive users to the main site. Twitter was more about networking and reach with that real feel of immediacy, and we broadcast to a wide audience and to target influencers. With Instagram, it was more about giving people access and that feeling of intimacy, so creating more behind the scenes content rather than the more official field content. And Pinterest was more about creating an inspirational ambience, so it might be more about posting pictures of stunning locations in Glasgow and Scotland. Just looking at behind the numbers, paid support not only delivers reach but boosts engagement. The content type has a significant impact on both reach and engagement, and is a decision based on objectives. Looking at the audience breakdown there, 53% of the audience were male, 46% female, and that's in line with the industry norm. The average user for us was male between 18 and 24, lives in Glasgow, and online between 12 PM and 9 PM, and we use that during our targeted content campaigns. On Twitter, one of the main learnings in Twitter, engagement took a dip when we were out of our campaign period. So on key milestones like ticket sales, 100 days to go, the launch of our volunteering, engagement was up at around 100%, but during the dip periods we had to look at more creative ways to keep people engaged. In terms of our ambition to make Glasgow 2014 the social Games, we wanted to provide the most inclusive and compelling online Games experience. Social media provided an ideal platform to reflect the ambition of the game plan and cement our brand values. From very early on, there was an ambition to position ourselves as the social Games, which meant we had to embrace what it meant to be truly social by encouraging and participating in dialogue, providing interesting and valuable insights, acting real-time, interacting with other communities, accepting that we can't control everything, and embracing the unexpected. That aside, it was essential that any investment in social activity would deliver measurable returns. We built the social media content strategy from the position of the OC being the people behind the Games. We had the inside track in every aspect, tickets, athletes, ceremonies, etc., and had to be shaped from events from the start right through to the Games time and beyond. We had the ability and the responsibility to bring people together from all nations and communities, disciplines and demographics, to rally support and be part of that world-class event. The idea of behind the Games also supported our central marketing proposition around audience ownership and participation. Rather than people going to the Games, people would be the Games, so the actual audience was the Games, so the people made the Games. So in terms of what that means, creating and delivering standout and original content. delivering up-to-the-minute news and updates from a trusted source, Glasgow 2014, creating human stories with personality and warmth that people could relate to, and providing a platform for others to share their games experience, which we did with the recruitment of the official 14 bloggers, and share new experiences with the audience for the fun factor. The content strategy was broadly supported by 4 main key pillars: exclusive insights, infectious support, encouraging people to join in, and including that customer service element to our social media activity. Exclusive insights, that was creating content that brought people behind the scenes and gave them a taster of what actually went on at Glasgow 2014. Infectious support, that was, I kind of call it the FOMO factor, fear of missing out. So that was just trying to get people excited and trigger them to want to come and take part in the games and get involved and become a volunteer and buy tickets. Customer service, just about providing upfront information on processes around travel, how people could buy tickets, what they had to do to become a volunteer and join in. Again, linking to our business objectives, buying tickets, how people could buy merchandise, where they could go and see the festival and sign up to receive updates on the games. So they were our 4 main pillars, and all of our content was created to fit within one of those as part of our wider content strategy. So a couple of examples of these. Exclusive insights. We created a nice little gallery from the closing ceremony and posted that, and that was just giving people a real flavour of all the closing ceremony activity. Infectious support is part of one of our sponsorship activation projects with SSC. People could go on and vote for their favourite athlete and get behind their favourite team on the website, and we would share that socially as well. An example of one of our customer service posts, when the marathon was happening in Glasgow, there were a lot of roads closed off and people's daily routine was somewhat disrupted. So we made sure that this was properly communicated and people knew up front what the route was and how that would affect them. And there's a piece of content for joining in terms of one of the ticketing pushes, and that one there is for weightlifting specific tickets which we had to push in the run up to the games. We had a few left. And just looking at a few of the top social highlights for me, I loved, we did a Vine booth in the Athletes Village. So Twitter became an extension of the action in the field as competitors grasped the opportunity to engage directly with their fans. One new way of doing that was via the Vine 360-degree booth, which we had based in the Athletes Village. So athletes would come in during their downtime and stand in the middle of the booth, and we actually had a camera which rotated 360 degrees, and they would do like little dances or like say things into the camera. So that was really popular on Twitter through one of the tweet cams. The Royal Selfie, a personal favourite of mine, and was social media gold for us. We were absolutely delighted to see this. So as Glasgow 2014 played out in the stadium, members of the British royal family made several surprise appearances on Twitter. So it began as Australian hockey player Jade Taylor had her selfie photobombed by the Queen, and that had almost 15,000 retweets, and it was the most retweeted post of the entire games. Usain Bolt, absolute legend. Usain Bolt was the most discussed athlete of the games with more than 140,000 mentions. Bolt also created the most discussed sporting moment of Glasgow 2014 as he anchored Jamaica to the gold medal in the 400-metre relay race. He actually used Twitter and Instagram throughout the games as a direct line into his fans, taking them behind the scenes and allowing them to feel part of those unique sporting moments. During the games, there were more than 950,000 mentions of the official hashtags Glasgow 2014 and hashtag Bring It On over Facebook and Twitter. And they were wrapped around all of our content, and this is an example of one of our most popular bits of content that we posted as part of the closing ceremony. Activation plans, should all lang syne be forgot. And that had 441 retweets and over 500 favourites on Twitter, so a really popular piece of content. This was one of my personal favourites as well. So the moment the Scotty dogs sent everyone potty, when the Team Scotland athletes came round and walked them round the stadium as part of the athletes' parade and the opening ceremony. And this had over 900 likes on Facebook and over 100 shares as well. So another really nice and popular piece of content that people really engaged in and got behind. So in summary, just looking at over 25 million sessions during the games, there, and that's what helped us to become truly the social games. We put as much value into our social followers as we did into our email database. I think there's a real opportunity to use social media to create a more informal relationship with your audience and creating that environment for a two-way conversation. It doesn't have to be quite as corporate as your other channels, and you can have a bit of fun with it. And again, it's all about pushing the boundaries and just trying to have fun with it. Who would have thought we'd be able to post a selfie with the Queen a few years ago, but it just shows you what you can actually get away with now and what people get behind. And that's my overview in Glasgow 2014 in social media. Thank you very much.
Frankie, thank you very much. Frankie, if you don't mind, just stay where you are, if that's all right, just for a second. We've got a wee bit of time. Are there any questions from the floor? Yep, over here, thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Thank you. Interesting presentation. Quick question. Did you do any profiling of your typical social media engagement customer before you actually found out of 19 to 24?
Sorry?
Did you do any profiling of your expected customer engagement before you found out of 19 to 24 on Facebook when you were doing your strategy?
Yeah, we profiled, we did a lot of research on the audience. We worked with an agency called The Leith in Edinburgh, and basically we looked at the type of customers who would be buying tickets for the games, who were likely to be volunteers, and we profiled those types of customers, and then we created a targeted social media campaign so that we could specifically speak to those people in social media. So Facebook advertising was really good for that. So looking at people around, we knew that volunteers would tend to be between 18 and 30, and then through a retired age. So through Facebook we could do a targeted advertising campaign to people that lived in and around Glasgow, and also targeting the London 2012 volunteers as well, and people that lived down by London, and that worked really well for us.
Over here, yeah.
Hi. My name's Jackie Hitchin, the company's IT Fact. I try and teach people of all ages how to use social media and tablet devices. I feel that the older generation are kind of, to a certain extent, some, not all, are maybe being left behind. So I'm trying to obviously target some of those age groups as well, and they would have benefited from some of the information. The figures were obviously really impressive, and the engagement. What's your kind of thoughts on that? What do you think about how to maybe target that sort of market?
I think the term social media is really broad, but I think a lot of the time it comes down to being channel specific. So whilst our audience was predominantly younger on Twitter and Instagram, we found that on Facebook, for an example, a large majority of the audience were actually retired women. So we created content suitable for that group. For example, how to enjoy a nice day out in Glasgow on a weekday. People who are working or who are at school or university, that wouldn't work for them, but retired people, that had a nice effect.
Let's do one more, because we're a wee bit pressed in time. We'll go up with this lady here, had her hand up first. We'll try and squeeze in a couple more.
Obviously, I'm curious, targeting across 71 countries, how did that work with the language barrier? Was all content and the website in just English, or was it translated into other languages as well?
We were actually really lucky in the sense that English is the first language of all nations and territories across the Commonwealth, so all of our communications were in English, and we did no translation, but it's something that we considered at the outset, and for a number of reasons, including cost, we didn't go down that route. It wasn't as efficient.
Your last question?
Hi. I just wanted to ask about the opening ceremony, and I was following it on Twitter. And I don't know if you'll agree with this, but just when I was kind of going through it on Twitter, it started off the first half of the night appearing to be quite negative. And then something happened, something changed halfway through the night where it just became really, really positive. And one of my favourite tweets was someone saying, it's like a great Glasgow wedding. You start off slagging off the meringue, and by the end of the night, you're snogging your rellies, which I thought just summed up absolutely brilliantly. I just wondered, was there something that you guys did to counteract that negativity, or did it just happen naturally with people?
I don't think there would have been anything that we could do necessarily to counteract it. People are watching a live event. Being in the digital team, we were all watching the event for the first time as well. The ceremonies team were very secretive of the plans. just for security reasons. I don't think there'd be anything that we could have done to counteract the negativity, but what we did do was monitor it. If people were being abusive, then we would hide tweets and things like that. Luckily, it didn't get too out of hand, and as people were watching, they ended up really liking the ceremony, and as you say, all the viewpoints changed, and we get massive support on that, so we're lucky in that sense. And to be honest, it just became a massive success. What I would say though is, when receiving negative comments, I would never be too hasty in jumping in to respond unnecessarily. It's a case of monitoring, and if there is an issue and you can offer advice to fix that issue, such as when people were applying for tickets and there were issues with the system, we were offering advice through that. But if it's a case of people just giving their opinion, there's not a lot you can do about that. And at the end of the day, when you're doing events or national campaigns, not everyone is going to love what you do, but it's just managing that in the space.
Great. Frankie, just a couple of points from me, if that's all right.
Sure.
I was astounded to learn that there was only 7 of you in the team.
Yeah.
You know, 7 of you, and you achieved 400 million social impressions, over 500,000 followers, etc., 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 and there's only 7 of you.
Yeah, well, the makeup of the team, we actually only had one girl full-time doing social media. We had
you kind of, you know, one of the complaints that Colin and I hear all the time, you know, early stage training is, oh, I'm really worried about the resource and I don't have the time and I don't have the staff, and you know, for what you've achieved with one full-timer is incredible.
Yeah, well, we all mucked in. We rotated social media duties over the weekend and during the evening. We were all really, really committed to the project and believed in the power of social and what we could achieve in terms of making the games a really social games.
I think you did. I think what was great is it wasn't just to tell the story, it was part of the story.
Yeah.
It became part of the product.
Yeah.
Not just to highlight what the rest of the products were. It was key to what you were putting out there.
Exactly. I think one key example was people always thought we had this massive social media team and customer service team, and we actually didn't. When we did the volunteer campaign, it was just myself and my boss who heads up the digital media team. We were the only digital people, and I managed the campaign. Literally up until midnight, when volunteer application closed, we provided social media customer service throughout that process, and it was literally me sitting on my couch in my joggy bees speaking to people all over the world and taking them through that process. I was covering Facebook, he was covering Twitter. I was giving people IT support in the Middle East just to take them through that process, but that was literally the reality of it. We didn't have this big team.
In many ways, you're like a very small start-up business, because that's kind of what you were.
We absolutely were a start-up business. I was 12th person into the organising committee, and at that point we literally were a start-up business, and it grew to 1,500, and it's scaled back down again, so it's been amazing to see the transformation and how it's all changed.
One last final tip, because again it was very interesting to hear you mention it. 50% of the access was all on a mobile or tablet. And again, everyone in the room, if you think that's purely because it was the games, you'll probably find if you go and look at your own stats, and here I am banging on yet again about geeky stats, you'll find that most businesses now are getting 50% access from, to your website from a mobile device. And again, just one little takeaway tip from today is make sure that your website works on a mobile device, because if it doesn't, there's 50% of your audience annoyed and away looking at the competition. So thank you for reconfirming that stat to me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, round of applause again. Thank you very much, Frankie Milligan.